Hey there guys, and welcome to a BoyInABarrel peek sat for Game Dev Tycoon. Obviously, you know, on some level, I'm kind of out of date on this one. The game's been out a couple of months, but in honor of the fact that this went through Greenlight, so the whole Greenlight sale that's going on right now was always good. So it's always good to draw attention to games in there. And the fact that it only just came out on Steam today, or yesterday, should I say? I even slept before recording this, so I'm still working through the processes of today and yesterday and tomorrow and all these separate things. But yeah, not to get bogged down in details, but basically, yeah, it's a nice BoyInABarrel peek sat of Game Dev Tycoon, the new Steam release edition. And I've got a decent amount of time in because I've gone to this stage, but obviously for the sake of it being a peek sat, I've not got too much time in the Steam edition. I've played plenty of the original. I'll continue, but I played a decent amount of the original versions. The actual straight up on release versions. But this is the first I've had with the Steam edition. Just show off this is how you make a game in case anyone didn't know from watching this game being played. I'm gonna make a music game. Casual. PC. All of its song boom. His parody titles are what I specialise in this game. But yeah, I mean, obviously, the actual process of choosing out the game concept is pretty easy. You just choose the topic and the genre and the platform, and you probably made a custom engine. Otherwise, the game wouldn't let you progress. But if you made a custom engine, then it lets you choose which custom engine you want to use. And also you can choose what size development you want to make after you've researched that kind of thing. And after you've been able to research what kind of target audience you want, you can also use that. That's also very useful. And yeah, obviously you also get to choose graphics from your engine. That's a pretty useful thing. But yeah, you also get news, which is appropriate to the sort of game world. The game revels in the idea that it's a parody, as much as the fact that it's an actual real thing. So there are all these normal actual real game consoles, but due to certain laws and things, arguably, the game is more inclined to use pretend titles. It's not the NES, it's the TES, and it's not the PlayStation, it's the Play System, and it's not the Xbox, it's the M-Box. So I like to play along with that myself and rename games. I've had Only Dance, and I've also had Call of Battle, as you saw there. Call of Battle 2 came out. And, you can kind of play along with it, but at its heart, this is a game about basically making sure you have the best studio you can have to hire all these people in. And it starts out with just you as a studio. You work at your garage. That's the proper indie level. I mean, arguably it's still indie level because you still don't have to go through a publisher half the time, but I'll get to that. I've also got media inquiries. This is a new thing in the Steam one. You get a lot more this media attention, which also helps you make hype without having to market yourself. And what it essentially does, in essence, is you get to have a lot of fun just having people test your knowledge. And it also gives them a chance to joke about the names of games journalists. This is Kieran Gillen, who I really like the comics of, but that's the point. I'm going to be modest about this game, because I hyped one of my games before, and then it didn't perform super well, so I got even more shit from that. Ooh, product placement. No, I don't want 200k from you. I'm already rich, bitch. But yeah, a lot of this is about it's as much about keeping enough cash to keep yourself afloat as it is about being able to. It's as much about being able to keep yourself afloat as it's about being able to produce good games and progress in the game. Because obviously it's a business. You gotta be able to make enough money back that you can keep everything still going. So a lot of it comes down to you've actually got to make sure these stats are good enough and you don't release bugs and things, and you can keep research going to keep yourself ahead of the curve. You can you can pretty comfortably stay in line with everything. You can keep ahead of the costs that you get by having all these staff members to help you make good games. That's kind of obviously how the game works, because that's how most businesses work. You got to make enough money selling whatever you sell to be able to hire everyone. I mean, it's a lot of what I'd explain in this game would be like basic business stuff. I can't say a lot more than the game itself would already say. And yeah, once you finish a game, it tells you like the design and technology stats, which are the two stats that judge how well your game does, as well as like how well your topic and combo match. Then you get experience based on every like each one of the 9 aspects of the game you use the sliders for. Because what I should have explained when I was doing the sliders is essentially based on what genre of game you're doing and what topic of game you're doing. More so on the genre than the topic, but yeah. You get sliders. You got these different sliders. So you can, like, if you're making a casual game like I was, you don't need a good engine, you don't need good AI, for example. So you can turn those things down, but you want to have, like, level design up, because that helps design each thing. Like, a music casual game, it'd be designing each track. And, like, I wanted to keep the gameplay up, because you want to have people playing the game well. So it's things like that. And also you have, like, you upgrade you level up your graphics. And then if you get your graphics level 3, whatever type of graphics you may have, then that means you can research the next level. So the next level of this would be 2D graphics version 4. And like sound, obviously that's just sort of the sound you have. And then each member of staff has their own experience levels. And that dictates like things like what you can do for training, whether you get things like boosts and stuff. Yeah, see, obviously also you have to pay people more as they level up, because that's just obvious logic. But see, I'm also trying to, as well as explaining the game itself, and trying to justify why people should buy this game if they don't already have it, I also need to explain to people why it's worth having the new updated version, as opposed to just sticking with what they have currently. And ignoring the fact there's a lot more media attention, one of the things I haven't necessarily pointed out too well so far is all those times before when you had to memorize everything in the game. So, for example, there was the training, and you had to memorize what each training did. Because I'm gonna show some training. It now has an effect thing that says this is what it will do. If you've done it once, then you know what it will do. And that applies the same to games. Like, if you understand that's what the game will do. Like, if you've made the game and you do what's called like a game report, which is where you spend a little bit of time doing some research on how the game did and look at the game and sort of self-review it, which also gets you extra research points, so it's well worth doing. Then the game will sort of help draw conclusions for you. So you'll see like, well, does this genre work with this console? Does this target audience work with this console? So I made like a casual game for a PlayStation at one point. And the game went, well, that's not a good mix, because the audience of the PlayStation doesn't match a casual audience. So you aren't going to get that many sales out of it. Or like, if you make a young game for an Xbox 360, because they're obviously later in the game. They'll be in the game, they're just later in. Like, if you make a casual game for kids, for like young ones, on a 360, the game will go, that wasn't a good idea. The audience of the 360 doesn't match up to like a casual audience like that. It doesn't match up to a young person audience like that, because that's not how the 360 goes. So it's a case of like the game now reports back to you a lot better. It feeds back the information of like how you did a lot better than it used to do. It works a lot smoother, as opposed to like the old system where it was just like you have to memorize everything. If you don't memorize it, you're screwed and you'll make another mistake again about it. The game reminds you, it keeps the data there, which is so nice, so relieving. But another thing that I probably won't get to touch in this video is this is still, as I said, this is still like a look at thing. It's not so much just me being like, hope to dirt, I've already played 60 hours of this game, so I know everything there is to know about what was updated. But yeah, there's at least another like 5 years added on to the main story and like the main campaign things, because I'm pretty sure it was originally 30 years, and now it's 35 years, which is pretty nice. I mean, I'm sure the extra 5 years will be useful. And like, as well as expanding the game out, it makes it a lot more like replayable. You have a reason to go back and try it more. And yeah, so See, got things like market analysis for the people that haven't played this game. Like, essentially, sometimes the market will prevail to one way or the other. So it will say like strong audience, young, or strong genre, RPG, or something like that. And you're like, well, I should probably capitalize on that. I should get more sales out of doing that. But yeah, see, my game's doing pretty well. Make a decent amount of money. And this is G3, the big game convention that you can go to. Essentially, you choose a booth. They obviously all cost more money the larger you go. I think the larger booth might have gotten cheaper. I seem to remember it being 2 million. But little things. Yeah, essentially you choose a booth size, and it comes down to it, and you go off to G3, and then people come to visit your booth. And then based on where you come in the booth, you might get in the top 100 booths, which is always a pretty nice position, but essentially it gets you more fans. This number up here. See, I've got 148k fans right now. 148.1 now. So it's the people counter that's just ticking away in the background. But yeah, the fans dedicates what kind of fan base you've got, so what kind of like core sales audience you can get. Also, if you make a good game, like you get like 9s and 10s across the board, then you're kind of just inclined to get more fans anyway. You're gonna sell well and you're gonna hit like number 1, and that's all fine. You don't really need to worry too much about how many fans you have, especially in the early game as well. But once you get a bit later, it's kind of like, it's not a good position for you to self-publish games and be all indie-like. Unless you've got a decent amount of fans. I think the recommendation is like 100,000 fans for a medium-sized self-published game. I think it's like 200. I think it used to be at least 250,000 fans for a large self-published game. Which is also where things like the publisher deals comes in. Because essentially you can sign on with a publisher and they'll publish your game a bit more, but you only get a certain amount of the money out of it because you developed for them and they obviously want their money out. And they'll punish you if you don't get right. I had way more people than I remember that having before. 258,000, not bad. Yeah, I'll send this guy on vacation because they have an energy bar. They don't re-roll when that starts going down. Yeah, see. Venna. Their Dreamvast. They've had to confirm their discontinuation. See, real industry news, but like thinly veiled behind slightly changed names. And yeah, the publishing deals work in that you'll get told what you need to do. Like this guy's gone, or this publisher, TGQ. Cough cough, wonder who that is. They've said any topic, any genre. Right, that means you've got pretty high freedom. You need a minimum score of 4, otherwise you'll have to pay a penalty if like whatever they say the penalty is. They'll pay you up front if you run a bit low on cash. That's always useful. And you get a certain amount of royalties out of the sales. But the sales for the game will be way higher than if you self-publish, because they could just go, right, everyone buy this game. As it would work normally. Like an indie developer is not going to have the same audience retention and like advertising and marketing skills as a publisher would, which is understandable. And obviously they have like the dictation of like, oh, well, you have to work on this console and you've got to do this size game. You've got to do a medium-sized game. That's the size you're doing. That's how they work, and I'm still okay for doing medium-sized games on my own. I have enough fans that I have an audience for a medium-sized game, self-publish, still make money. It's not a problem. Yeah, see, where the stage I'm currently at is, I'm the sort of mid-stage of this game, where essentially you get a research development team over on this side, right over here. If I can drag the screen up a bit, if the game will let me, and not just click it back. This white space on this side is like, that's where you have research people, the grad students, because university come and they come and study for you, and they can think about making things like Steam or MMOs, things like that. And then on this side is where you consider making a new console, which a couple of times I played this prior to the Steam update, that bankrupted me a lot. So I don't know how much those two systems have changed, but I don't think that'll change too much from the original release. But yeah, it's kind of how it works. Is you put a certain amount of money in your research and development team every month. Quite expensive, but... And they'll do things. Yeah, see, the Invento Games Fair. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what I've really got to cover left, or what I've really got left to cover is the main way. Well, let's see. Here's the game reports. I'll get my boss man to research a game to like generate a game report. Yeah, so you have all these lovely researchers, and these all go into your engine for the most part. Like project management and game design, that's just that works. That is once you've done that, that is. But a lot of this is like you kind of have to like it's in the engine. So what we'll do is, for the sake of showing off, and because I need to do this anyway, because I've not made a new engine in a while, I'll research some things here with my research points. This pool up here, as I said, like you're making research points by generating a game report. You do all right for yourself. I'll sort of show off the contracts and the engines. And then I'll make clear my final points. And that'll be the rest of the video. Yeah. Just telling you guys that so you know from here. Simulation games are especially popular at the minute. See the market trends and things. 69 million. Just kidding. 6.9 million. 6,900,000. Yeah, see. We'll create a custom engine. Yeah. And I'm going to upgrade my 3D graphics. And I'm going to introduce branching stories. Take out linear stories and bring in multiplayer and character progression and a dialogue tree and better AI and AI companions and a day and night cycle and better sound. Yeah. We'll call this the Barrel Engine 3 because, I've been making barrel engines already. But let's keep on going with that. But yeah, you put some cash down. That cost me about 700,000, 750,000 because it's all dependent on what features you want to bring in. And then everyone has to generate technology points to try and work through your engine and all the features that you're bringing in. And then what this does is it allows you to have all these better technology things so you can then use them in your development. And having all these better things means you get more points and things, and your development is a lot better. So it's not so much that you get more points, as it's the basics of your development are better. Like if I was still making 2D graphics version 1 games with mono sound and nothing, even with all the points, it'd still be like, well, these games are very old. These aren't particularly up-to-date games, are they? It's about kind of keeping up. And with the graphics engines, it's like, even if I kept pushing 3D graphics version 1, I wouldn't get 3D graphics version 3. You need to go to the version 2 to go to version 3 and things. So normally, you'd think, yeah, I make loads of engines all the time. And it's expensive, and you have to take time out of your working to do it, so it's not easy. But it works itself out. And I'll just research another thing here, because I'm a scumbag. And I'll do some more training, because I just want to train this guy more. I needed a technology expert. Because you need someone who's good at technology or good at design. I think it's 700 points of skill to have a guy that's 500 in technology now. And I think it's this guy. He's at 565 design. He's pretty solid himself. But these guys, they're my experts. But I have to train them a bit more before I get them to be the experts enough that I can have the research and development lab and things. But yeah, when this guy's done researching, which is soon, or when he's done training, should I say, I'll do my last little bit here, which is just showing the contract worked. I'll do a quick one. But yeah, basically, I've got 3 weeks to make this much design technology points. And they'll pay me 28k, which as you can tell is nothing to me. And if I fail at doing it, they'll take away 7k from me. Straight up, I don't get paid, they just take my money as a fine. And obviously, I soared by that one because that was a small one. That was not one designed for my size studio. Because it may be no cash, and that was how that one worked. But yeah, I mean, to sort of conclude this, now that I've kind of shown off everything in the game, now that I've saved it, and it's took me back into the game because it does that. kind of give some impressions. Do I think this game is worth playing outright? Yes, this game is very fun. Even with the people that like compare it to Game Dev Story, they're quite different games. I've played a hell of a lot of Game Dev Story on my phone as well. No, they're very different games. They're not that alike. So even if you've played lots of Game Dev Story like I have, it's still worth getting Game Dev Tycoon. Do I think it's worth the money even with the new Steam release? Yeah, it's still well worth that money, especially with it being 20% off in the Greenlight sales. Do I think the Steam edition updates were really good? Yeah, they've brought in a lot of stuff, even if there was nothing more to the game, like in the campaign and things, and they hadn't modified the media and things. I think I would have been happy with the update just because it tells you the effects and things, and it reminds you what's going on. So it tells you like these combos work and these are not good combos, and this is what you should have on this console, and this isn't what you should have on this console. I think just having that is worth the update to me, and it's always just nice to own games through Steam, because I'm one of those guys that doesn't like owning things that aren't in Steam, because I'm a scumbag. What can I say? But yeah, I mean overall, definitely at least 1 or 2 thumbs up. At least 1 thumbs up to this game, probably 2, because it's one of my little cheap hits of 2013. Not one of my big expensive ones. I'm like, that was well worth the like £40 I spent on that. So $60. It's like it was well worth laying down like £5. But yeah, nonetheless, big hearty recommendation for you guys to get this game, or if you've already got this game through the developer's site, to redeem your code for Steam or to just update your version. Basically, you know, if you're already in a game, to update it and to play the updated one. Yeah, guys, after I've clumsily gone through the end, after I've clumsily gone through my like closing impressions and things, yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I do hope you guys follow my recommendation and get the game. I'd happily like to hear your thoughts on it in the bottom in the comments. And yeah, I hope you guys will come back for more BoyInABarrel Pizza next time. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and bye.